evening. It's been a lovely day, hasn't it? It's been my Heen Hylog. So I bet you've had a lovely time in your garden and lots of you in your paddling pools and on your water slides, you lucky things. Well, tonight's story, and I need to get started because I think it's quite a long one, is from the Large family and it's all in one piece. And it's by Jill Murphy. All in one piece. So there's 4 words, oh goodness me, 4 words in that title. Are we ready? And this is Mrs. Large. I love Mrs. Large. Let's find out. This is like every family when all their mummies and daddies are trying to go out. Here we go. This is Mr. Large and he's getting ready. And I'll get myself ready and you get ready for the story. It says, Mr. Large was getting ready for work. "Don't forget the office dinner dance tonight, dear," he said to Mrs. Large. "Of course I won't," she said. "I've been looking forward to it all year." And there's Mrs. Large in bed with all the children. Goodness me, that brings back memories. "Are children allowed at the dinner dance?" asked Lester. "No," said Mrs. Large. "It'll be too late for little ones." "What about the baby?" asked Luke. "Granny's coming to look after you so that Mummy and Daddy can go out. So there's no need to worry." And there they all are at the breakfast table. Mrs. Large, look at that, she's feeding the baby. Look at that with her trunk. Clever. Granny arrived at tea time and the children were already bathed in their night clothes and Granny gave them some painting. Not sure that's a good idea. Some painting to do while she tidied up. And Mr. and Mrs. Large went upstairs to get ready. And look how excited the children are to see their lovely Granny. She looks so kind, doesn't she? So let's find out what happened. Luke, there's Luke. You see Luke there? Sneaked into the bathroom while Mr. Large was shaving. "Will I shave when I grow up? Will I have to shave?" "Go away," said Mr. Large. "I don't want you ruining my best trousers." So poor Luke there went back downstairs. Meanwhile, Mrs. Large was getting ready. Can you see somebody else getting ready too? The baby crept into the bedroom where Mrs. Large was putting on her makeup. Not a good combination. Mrs. Large didn't notice until it was too late. Look at the baby. He's covered in makeup as well. Covered in makeup. And jewellery. And guess what Mrs. Large says? "Oh, look," says the baby, "is pretty." And Mrs. Large says, "Stop! Don't move, don't touch anything." Outside on the landing, things were even worse. Look what's happening to Mrs. Large's tights. Oh no, there are her tights. And they're trying to put as many toys as possible in there. And Laura is wearing Mrs. Large's shoes. And look at Mrs. Large. Dween Grack. Outside, Laura was clomping about in her mother's best shoes and beads, and Lester and Luke were seeing how many toys they could cram into the new tights. But guess what she said? "Downstairs at once," bellowed Mrs. Large. "Can I come up just one night in the whole year? Just one night to myself. One night when I'm not covered in jam or poster paint. One night when I can put on my new dress and walk through the front door in one piece." Oh, look at the children. Oh, they all look very sad, don't they? Look at their little faces. Oh dear. The children went downstairs to Granny. Mr. Large followed soon after, very smart in his new suit. At last, Mrs. Large appeared. "How do I look?" she said. "Pretty." Is that what the baby says? Let's find out. Oh yeah, pretty mummy, gasped the children. What a smasher, said Mr. Large. You look like a film star, said Granny. Hands off, said Mrs. Large to the paint-smeared children. Can you see anything that's wrong? Look at the children rushing towards her with all their painting and their paintbrushes, but Mrs. Large has noticed something. Mr. and Mrs. Large got ready to leave. Goodbye, they said, be good. The baby began to cry. Just go, said Granny. She'll stop as soon as you've left. Have a lovely time. And there's the baby, look. Come back. Oh, look at Mrs. Large. She's feeling all sad. She doesn't want to leave. We've escaped, said Mr. Large with a smile, closing the front door. All in one piece, said Mrs. Large. Not a smear of paint between us. But Mr. Large said, you'd look wonderful to me, even if you weren't covered in paint. And look, they're having a little cuddle, which was lucky because it was perfectly true and just as well, because look at Mrs. Large's bottom. What has she got covered on? All over her dress. That's right, that's the paint from the paint palette. Poor Mrs. Large. I love that story. I used to read that when my children were little. It was one of their favourites. Jill Murphy was one of their favourite authors. They used to love her stories. Now, it's time for a prayer. Ready? I'm not sure I'm going to get this in tonight. As in the candle. There we go. Shall I just hover it? No, I'll just leave it there because it's going to burn me otherwise. But you know that I'll just show you the candle is lit. Ready? Join your head, join your hands. Renu tad, mab, a respite. Amen. God our Father, we come to say thank you for your love today. Thank you for our families and all the friends you give to me. Guard me in the dark of night and in the morning send your light. Amen. Renu tad, mab, a respite. Amen. I'm going to blow that out now. Now, some brilliant things come through already. Your Forest School challenges this week have been really amazing. I've loved them. I've tweeted the ones that have come through, and I know lots of you enjoyed Superworm yesterday. It's a really good story, isn't it? So well done all those who've been measuring. I know some of you have had to use, I've been outside in your garden, I think, Lisa, of you measuring. And lots of you found your favourite toys and you've measured them, so well done. And the ordinal numbers, you've blown me away. So many of you are really good with those. And Henry, I did send you a message saying that they have the behind them, like 5th, 6th, 7th. But Henry, can you tell me which of the three, give me a clue then, which ordinal numbers come at the beginning? They don't have they have something else at the end. I think I hopefully didn't confuse you. I'm sure I didn't. But there are certain numbers that don't have ordinal numbers that don't have like 6th, 7th, 8th. There's some numbers. Anyone can tell me what are those ordinal numbers that don't end with a. Okay. Sleep tight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay safe, and hopefully at some point we'll meet. But no star, hwyl fawr. Until tomorrow, good night, God bless.